Hey everybody, welcome to Geek Addicts. Hello everybody and welcome to Geek Addicts, the pop culture podcast where the topics are made up and the rules don't matter. I am Bill and this is Matt. How you doing, Matt?
I am having a day. How are you, Bill?
I'm having a week. It's
Yeah,
been it's been wonderful. It snowed this week. Everyone forgot how to drive. There's so much salt everywhere. It's disgusting. Lovely wintertime stuff.
it's snowing again tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a shitty weekend. It's going to literally just sleet snow all weekend, and then it's going to like sleet snow all week next week, apparently. So that's just great. I love winter, but
Yep.
no one ever.
And as of today, we don't have a vehicle. Yay. Yes. As I was telling you off air just now, the heating core in our car blew. So until we get that replaced, we are not driving it because we're not driving a car with no coolant. That would be foolish.
Yeah, yeah, that's usually never good.
Yeah.
Uh, so when I
So
was sick with the plague, I stopped shaving, and I guess I'm just doing the beard thing now. So we're gonna see how long this lasts.
I
Um,
it's funny because I feel like I asked you about this recently about how you never had facial hair, and I was always wondering what you would look like with facial hair.
yeah, because you missed the facial hair arc I had at Richards.
Facial hair
'Cause it-
arc.
yeah,
I just like weeb talk.
well, I joke about it because I joke with Alex saying like we have different arcs throughout the history of GNC. Like there was my unemployment arc, which lasted about a month.
Hmm.
Like all sorts of goofy stuff we've had over the years. Um, yeah. You missed the beard arc though, because I used to have a goatee at Richards and it was bad, so I shaved it.
Fair enough. Oh, speaking of weeb shit, so I made a discovery recently.
Hmm.
So you know how a lot of companies and like say like schools and whatnot they'll have like a public Wi-Fi for the employees and students and whatnot.
Hmm.
But usually there's some sort of block in place that prevents people from using like Netflix, Hulu, whatever. Uh, well, whoever set that up at my work was not a weeb because Crunchyroll works perfectly.
They don't know what Crunchyroll is.
Exactly. It's like shit. I could watch any fucking Crunch because that's usually the thing. Like I usually have to download my stuff ahead of time because the data service in there sucks and Wi-Fi won't load anything on streaming shit. So usually I have to download shit ahead of time, but apparently I don't have to do that Crunchyroll. As long as we connect to the Wi-Fi, I'm good.
See, that was like the best part about Richards. They didn't give a fuck. Like we could do anything on the Wi-Fi there.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was it was shitty
Because
Wi-Fi, but
I
we could do
remember
whatever.
one particular coworker we had who technically works for the same company that I do. Actually, got me this job. Um, I have a distinct memory of working overnight once and hearing some suspect sounds
Oh,
over the speakers.
you mean when he was torturing another one of our coworkers? Yes, I know exactly what was going on there. Um, did I ever tell you about his Pokemon Go story? If it's
Yeah,
it's the one
I
I
actually just heard you tell it to Thrak
Oh
on
yeah, yeah,
radio. But yes, you have told me that before.
yeah. For those who don't know, when Pokemon Go came out, it was a craze that I never got into because I thought it was dumb. But that's besides the point.
I went pretty
Um,
hard for like a year and then I fell off.
I was just like, this is it, and I was like, okay, I'd rather just play Pokemon Black and White again.
They
Um,
took too long to add more Pokemon.
yeah, but I remember like during that crate, like because there was a person in the Richards parking lot that was playing Pokemon Go, and I had to ask them to leave because I was the only one there. I'm like, you can't do this here. This is private property. Um, but I remember going in and seeing the ceiling fans going in the middle of winter. And I was just like, that's peculiar. And they're moving very slowly. And I'm like, I'm looking up and I see a thing attached to the ceiling fan. And it's his phone spinning around very slowly. And I'm just looking at it and I'm going, do I want to know? And he's like, oh, I'm trying to collect eggs in Pokemon Go. And I'm just like, okay, I don't want any part of this. I'm gonna go over
See,
in my corner.
that's the thing is like I understood why Pokemon Go was like as big as it was, and I know like there's still plenty of people who play now, but like for like that first like couple months, it was like a huge craze. Like even people who had never played Pokemon in their life like was crazy about Pokemon Go, and like I understand why it was that way. Because it was more of like a social thing too. It was like you go out and you meet random people. Like I met a bunch of people through Pokemon Go. You know,
See, Pokemon Go.
I even
came
had a
out when I was-
relationship start because of Pokemon Go. Believe it or not. But I don't understand people who would try to find ways to cheat and play Pokemon Go while you're not like out. Because at that point, you should just play Pokemon.
So this is why I didn't care for Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go came out when I was working graveyard night shift. So I wasn't playing with anybody at that point. Yeah, it was, I think the saddest moment of like the Pokemon Go craze for me was when I was working night shift and I went to go get a coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts up the street, and there was a group of like teenagers in front of me. I love how I say teenagers with disdain, even though I was like 21 at the time. But they were talking about Pokemon Go, and one of them made the comment saying, "I don't play Pokemon Go because that would require me to go outside." And I just like sat there going like, "What is wrong with them?" Like, just like sitting here thinking like, "Geez," and I thought I was bad.
Well, the worst for me was whenever I'd hear people being like, "Oh yeah, I bought this account. It has all these crazy Pokemon on it." I'm like, "Well, then what's the point?" Like, I don't understand. Like, why go out of the way to spend money to buy all these fun things or whatever? And it's just like that defeats the whole purpose of the game.
Yeah, I mean, especially when we found out like years later that app was just stealing everyone's information and selling it.
Yeah, that's about right.
Even though they swear they didn't, which I don't buy for a second. But
yeah, well, every company sells information. Let's be real here.
I'm sitting here thinking though, like they're like, we're trustworthy. I'm like, this is the same company that was putting like Pokestops in like graveyards, and like I think they put one at the memorial for the station nightclub fire. Like that was a that was a great choice. Yeah,
oh, jeez.
Like some of those Pokestops, and my favorite too was like during that era, like you would go into like a Best Buy and there'd be a sign saying, "There's no Pokemon here. Go away." Basically.
Yeah. That's good.
So
Rooster Teeth is back, kinda.
Yeah, I saw Bernie Burns bought the rights to it back, and he's trying to bring it back.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work with like certain properties, because I know like I remember hearing that like Ruby changed hands, or like it was either Sony kept it and wanted to like keep it going, or they sold it. I don't remember which, but either way, like it was supposed to be like, oh, Ruby's going to continue regardless. So now I wonder if he has that now, or if that's going to be a separate entity now.
I thought Warner Brothers had it last I checked.
Well, that's something like that. I don't remember.
I don't know. Ruby is probably going to continue. Something tells me not at Rooster Teeth, but
well, at this point, like if Bernie's pretty much starting from scratch, I doubt they'd be able to bring the same production quality even if they did get it back. So it probably is better as it is.
True. To be fair, though, they did kill off pretty much everything right before it closed. So
yeah, they were keeping the podcasts going, but aside from that, yeah,
all the ones I liked, they canceled those. So it was kind of like,
well, I have no reason to listen to like any of the recent Rooster Teeth podcasts, like the mainline Rooster Teeth podcast, because I mainly like listened to that back in the day for like the founding guys, and like Gus left, and then it's like, okay, so none of the founding guys are a part of this anymore, so I don't care.
I liked Gus's other podcast. I loved Black Box Down for some reason. Like that was like my favorite.
Yeah, I remember hearing ads for that one, and I never actually checked it out.
It was the Plane Crash podcast.
That's such a wild idea for a podcast.
the fact that it was so fascinating though, like they went deep. It was him and Chris Damaris. They would
Oh, that
go
dude's
on and
funny.
on.
I love
The
his just like super awkward brand of comedy.
the best episodes though were like the ones where they like were just talking about like airport stories, like when they were going to airports and shit.
Oh, they had some of the craziest fucking airport and like flight stories.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun. I put that pod on every now and then when I'm just like, you know what? You'd think a podcast like that would make you afraid of flying, but it actually makes you less afraid because you realize how safe flying actually is.
Well, you say that. Well, all these fucking planes that are crashing and setting on fire lately. Just in the past like week, I've heard of at least 3 different planes that have had incidents.
Yes.
So I don't know what the fuck's going on, but
So I
it's pretty
completely
wild.
forgot about that. Now I feel really awkward. Let's move on from this.
But yeah, so it was like Box Canyon Productions or something. Is that what they're going by now? I don't know if they're keeping the name Rooster Teeth or not, but
Who the
Bernie, like I don't know if he's keeping the same name or.
well, I think he bought the rights to the name, so he can
Okay.
use it.
So, okay. Because I know like everything that I was reading about it was saying like Box Canyon Productions bought the rights to that, like all those products or whatever. So I didn't know if it was one of those weird situations where they couldn't use the same name and it was just going by something different now.
That was probably the company he created when he didn't have it, and I'm assuming now that he owns the name again, he's going to probably rebrand to Rooster Teeth again.
Which I don't know how that's going to work for him because he moved to Scotland. He's fucking out. So I don't know how that's going to work.
He probably, if anything, he just wants to have the name back so he can at least do something with it.
He'll probably just fucking hand the reins back to Matt and Gus.
I mean, I love the fact that he immediately reverted it back to the proper logo, not that piece of shit they had right before they closed it.
Was it? And I thought it was funny too that he bought it like after the fact, just because like he dipped, like he was done, like he was completely separated from it at that point.
Well, he probably didn't want to see
he was
it.
doing that one podcast with his wife, but that was it.
He probably didn't want to see it go like the way like Machinima did, where it just like disappeared. Because like Machinima was like the same thing. They all the founders left. It got bought by a bigger company, and then right before it died, they had this like rebranding where they changed the logo and everything, and then they closed it like right after, and it's just been dead ever since. Oh man, that was a time.
Wild. I mean, I'm glad it's not like dead, but
there's at least hope.
Yeah,
we'll see something.
Hopefully, it's not just going to keep going in the same direction it was, because obviously that didn't work, guys.
Well, it's what you take away everything that made a company successful, and then what it's not successful anymore. Weird.
Yeah, like it was good because it was literally just a bunch of college buddies just fucking around in their fucking studio apartment. Like that's what started it all and got them famous, pretty much. And it was pretty much as soon as it became corporate was when it started going way downhill.
Yeah, that's usually what does it.
But
cool to see it back, though. At least it'll exist in some form.
Yeah. God knows what's happening with Team 4-Star, though.
Because
apparently most of them are like have either left the group or have left the state. Because I guess Lanny was moving to California to like do more acting stuff. He's still like a part of Team 4-Star, but like he's like off doing his own thing too.
Probably to get like more acting, because you kind of have to go to California to get like acting work.
I mean, Texas has a lot of shit going on, so
it does, but
like voice acting.
It does, but Texas is non-union for the most part. Like at least Crunchyroll and I believe Sentai aren't, and a lot of actors are not a fan of that. I've noticed recently. I know that's one of the main reasons why. That's one of the main reasons why there was that big deal with like that one actor who like refuses to work with Crunchyroll now because they wouldn't go union or some stuff like that. It's it's an interesting topic. I only bring it up because I'm in a union now, so I kind of get it.
But. I gotcha. But yeah, I mean they haven't really done much of anything since they stopped doing Abridged. So
Yeah, that was kind of their bread and butter for a while.
yeah, I don't know. It's like they tried to play around with some different projects afterwards, and none of them stuck. I did like the was it the unabridged show that was like their version of The Office? I liked
Mm.
that, and then COVID happened and they couldn't record it anymore. And then they finally
Yeah.
released those last couple episodes that they had like semi prepared, and they were just like, yeah, we're not doing any more of
Mm.
this. And I know it didn't perform as well as like you know Abridged did, but I mean nothing was going to.
No, that's the problem when you kind of like stonewall yourself into like this one thing and then you stop doing said thing that made you successful. It ends up you kind of end up going into that slow decline where then kind of
Hmm.
fall into obscurity. It's like when G4 TV like they had that show Icons, which was like they would talk about different video game icons.
Hmm.
And then G4 went through their weird like trying to move away from video game like branding. So then they like changed icons to be about non-video game people, and everyone stopped watching it.
It's about right.
I wonder why.
Wonder what went wrong.
Um, G4 itself is an interesting case study, especially the fact that they tried bringing it back and then it failed miserably.
I did I think it's actually arriving today. I got myself one of those Amber Nicks.
Hmm.
I got the I didn't get like one of the expensive ones. I got one of the cheaper ones, but like I think it can handle like up to like some low end like Dreamcast games is the one I
That's
got.
cool.
So I'm gonna be playing around with that a lot, doing some fucking retro game stuff.
Yeah, you could ask Aaron. I know he's pretty good with that stuff.
Well, he's actually the reason I found out about it because he had posted he was playing some game on his and he posted a picture of it on Facebook and I asked him about
Nice. I think I actually saw that conversation happen.
it.
I
um
happened to be on Facebook at the time.
but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to fucking fuck around with some more like
Hmm.
classic games and stuff. And I could put my ROM hacks on it so I could play Pokeduel
Oh,
on the
nice.
handheld, which is pretty cool. Well, I told you about that, right?
Yeah, the
The
Yu-Gi-Oh one,
fire
right?
yeah, the Fire Red ROM hack where they replace all the Pokemon with Yu-Gi-Oh monsters.
Yeah, I remember that. That
Yeah,
was
it was actually
interesting.
really well made. Like I actually want to do like a full run of that game because
Hmm.
the only reason I haven't is because it was stuck on my computer and it's hard to find time to actually sit. And it's I don't know, it's a weird thing for me. Like I just can't sit and focus and play a game on a computer for like an hour, you know? I can only do it for short bursts.
Yeah, no, it's harder to play. It's weird. Some games you can play at a computer perfectly, like MMOs. I can play at a computer, like The Sims. I can play at a computer.
Hmm.
Um, RPGs, it's tough for me. Like an
Yeah,
RPG.
I just have like a weird mental block about it.
Hmm.
But
In case anyone's wondering, this is episode is mostly just chatting and kind of shooting the shit because scheduling happens and planning and you know fun stuff.
yeah, we
Um,
had like this and like the next like 2 or 3 episodes completely planned out, and then schedules changed that made our original plan not possible. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So we had to kind of come up with something. And unfortunately, this week ended up being miserable for me. So I didn't really have time to brainstorm. Um, so yeah, we're chatting about whatever because that's the fun stuff. Actually, I can share some recent pickups. So yesterday we had a snowstorm and the condo complex I live in, they were plowing all the driveways. So basically, I had to kill like an hour while they were plowing before I could park.
Hmm.
And go home. So I was just kind
I
of,
couldn't go home.
I just didn't want to deal. I didn't want to park on the street and then have to go move my truck again because I was tired and lazy. So
Hmm.
I said screw it. I'll dick around for like an hour and then come home after. Um, so I was trying to find something to do, and I figured I hadn't been to the comic shop in a while because there's a comic shop I discovered like in like 20 minutes away.
Hmm.
So I was going there and just looking around, and I actually decided to pick up some single issues. I was just going through all the long boxes and stuff, and I bought I got like a nice stack of singles because I'm thinking about making wall art out of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking for some good ones. I got like this pretty cool Superman after he came back from the dead
Nice.
on the black suit. I was actually the one I was looking for was this cover, the iconic Superman mullet look. Like
Mm.
that was a good time in the '90s. And I found that one. I got this cool one from like the late 2000s.
Very
I got
nice.
this pretty iconic cover, even though this run kind of sucks, but this cover was pretty cool. Written by the creator of Babylon 5.
Oh, interesting.
He had a Superman run. It wasn't very good, but it was still something. Um,
Fair
I got
enough.
this. This is actually my favorite comic issue ever. I love this book.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen this variant of the cover, so I figured I'd grab that. And then I got the #1 issue for the current run that's going on now. So
Cool.
these were
Lots
all
of
like,
Superman.
well, I mean, it is my favorite, but there just was a shit ton of Superman books to look through. Fun fact: those were all like $4 because none of them are really significant. They're just kind of ones I liked.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I did that. I like leaping through like comics every now and then, and sometimes you find some cool ones. So grab those.
Oh, but leaning back into the retro game thing.
Mhm.
I know we had talked about. I don't know if we said it on mic or not, but we were talking about making May like a Toriyama month kind of thing.
Mm.
I was thinking it'd be kind of cool if we did one on one that people don't really talk about much, the Go-Go Akman.
Which one's that?
It was a game for the Super Nintendo based on a very short-lived manga run called Go-Go Akman that Toriyama did. I think it was either in the late 80s or early 90s that he did it, but it's in the manga is in the Toriyama's manga theater.
Oh, okay. I'll have to read that. I still haven't got around to it, so I should probably do that at some point.
Well, I mean, you could always, because I was also thinking we could cover like one or two of those, like because it's a lot of one shots or like like 2 or 3 chapter like mini stories or whatever. So I was thinking it'd be fun like we could cover some of those for like Toriyama month.
Yeah, I've been meaning to read that. I just haven't.
Do a couple a year or something.
That could be cool.
That way, it's not just all Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
And it's hard to really have a conversation about like Doctor Slump.
yeah, because it's just a gag manga for the most part.
Yeah, it's just jokes, poop jokes. Like I mean, yeah, we could just say, oh yeah, this poop joke was funny or that poop joke was funny, but like it's hard to have like a real conversation about it.
And even then, we'd still probably end up talking about Dragon Ball because of the crossover episodes.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I would like to talk Doctor Slump at some point or another, but it would have to be kind of like a more like big sprawling thing, as opposed to like
It's
a chapter by chapter kind of thing.
Yeah, it is kind of funny though. Like one of my favorite moments from Doctor Slump isn't even Doctor Slump related. It's the super episode that he cameos in. My favorite part about that episode is the fact that Goku straight up rage quits in that fucking episode.
Yep.
Because his suit rips and he's just like, fuck this, and he just leaves. And I'm like, wow. That's like the first time Goku just flat out was like, fuck this, and left.
Yeah. Yeah, ooh, this month, the super manga is semi coming back.
That's good.
It's I don't know if it's gonna be like a continuous thing, but I know at the very least we're getting like a one-shot chapter about Goten and Trunks
Oh, that's cool.
doing their
Is it
superhero thing.
is it leftover Toriyama stuff, or is Togataro just kind of taking over now?
It's just a Toyotaro thing.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure the last chapter that came out, like right after he died, was the last thing he actually touched.
Okay. I mean, and to be fair, Togataro's been basically ghostwriting that thing for a while now, so.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've been making a lot of progress with digitizing my DVD library.
Nice.
I'm almost done with the Star Trek stuff, which has
cool.
been going on for a few weeks now because it's a lot.
Yeah,
and they only put 4 episodes on each disc.
Yeah,
So I
that's
have to go
true.
through a lot of discs. Although I can't find my third season of original series, but aside from that, I got those first two series for that or seasons. Um, I got all the animated series, and I got DS9 and Voyager completely done, and I'm on season 6 of TNG.
I forgot
So
about the animated series, to be honest.
it's not. I mean, it has some good episodes, but it's kind of rough. And it was
Yeah.
very short lived. It was only like 22 episodes or something.
It's almost as much as Lower Decks,
Yeah, right.
because that's tragic in its own right.
It is, dude. Like Lower Decks is so good. Like, and that's the
Paramount,
thing is, it's even funny if you're not a Star Trek fan, but if you are a Star Trek fan, it's like 10 times funnier than
oh
it
yeah,
already was. Like,
Paramount just doesn't like money.
apparently not. Apparently not.
Most of these companies, they don't like money because, like, if they did, they would do so many things that are obvious. But
Hmm. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I heard that Fable 4 might be PS5 day one.
considering Microsoft's just releasing everything on PlayStation now, it seems like it's possible.
I'm so happy about this. Although it's going to be really awkward playing a Fable game on a PlayStation controller.
Yeah,
Uh, I am still very, very excited about that because I mean, obviously, like it would depend on when I had the money, but I was fully prepared because I'm such a fan of the Fable series. I was fully prepared to just buy an Xbox specifically for that. So I'm really happy that they're doing this. So I don't have to do that.
I was joking with Thrak on 3DO that basically with the announcement, because I'm very indifferent to the console war stuff. Like I find it just annoying now. But
It's old hat at this point.
it just doesn't make sense anymore because there's no reason for it. But when I saw the announcement that like Forza and stuff was coming to PS5, basically all I thought in my head was, well, I guess that this prolongs me getting a Series X again now. Because I'm like, I was thinking about it getting one this year, but if these games are going to start coming out on PS5, why bother?
Well, it's at a point now where they might as well just fucking combine because there's no point in having separate consoles at the any. I mean,
Well,
if
Nintendo's going to be
PlayStation. Hmm?
Nintendo's going to be stubborn forever, so
Well,
they will.
Nintendo, they don't need to do none of that. They got all their shit, and they're not going to share it. So,
True.
um, but as far as like Xbox and PlayStation goes, I mean, I know like PlayStation, like Sony, mostly cares about its Japanese audience, and Japan does not give a flying fuck about Xbox.
No, not really.
So, I
They use
mean,
they use the 360 for porn most of the time, so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
we. That's actually a weird thing in Japan. Like the worst, like the most underperforming consoles over there always tend to be the ones where all the porn games go.
Jesus.
Like 3DO had it, the 360 had it. It's just all weird, goofy shit like that.
So I caved and I started watching ongoing shows that like have like seasons currently running.
Yep, I've got
Like
five of them currently.
I watched the new episodes of Doctor Stone because I really wanted to see more of that. I
Mm.
really like where it's going. Um, and I'm probably going to do the same with the other shows. Like I'm probably gonna catch up with Apothecary Diaries and um, what's the other one?
Solo leveling.
Solo Leveling. Yep.
Solo leveling season
Attention.
2. Solo leveling season 2 is like holy shit. Like the it's only 3 episodes in, and I'm sitting here going like, God fucking damn it! I want to know what
Well,
happens.
I need to rewatch the first season because I remember like nothing from it.
You
And
might have a different impression of it second time around because it is holy shit. Like I'm just like sitting here wondering where the fuck it's going.
I hope so because like I remember being kind of underwhelmed when I watched it the first time, and I don't know if it's just like the way I was watching it, where I was kind of like I don't know, my attention was kind of split, but like I don't know, maybe I'm hoping I have a different opinion on it. That's all I'll say. It's because the main character didn't leave much of an impression on me, and since it was pretty much just him and that one guy that was tagging along with him the whole time, like there wasn't really much to say about it, you know.
He I won't spoil what happens, but it's intense what's going on now.
Fair enough.
I got
I've
that.
also
Oh,
Mhm.
go on.
I was gonna say I've been watching Thousand Year Blood War as well. I've watched the first two parts and a little bit of the third part. And all I gotta say is, if all of Bleach had been like this from the start, I would have a higher opinion of the series as a whole.
Maybe I wouldn't have fallen asleep.
Probably not, honestly. And you know what? You know what's really cool about it, and I wasn't expecting it to actually to be this way. It still uses a lot of the same music from the original series,
Hmm.
but it like remixes a lot of it and like kind of updates it. Which is like the way it's done is really cool. I like it a lot. And the
Yes.
animation is incredible. And they've been throwing a lot of like plot twists and like reveals. And I mean, I'm sure all this existed in the manga from the start. It just never was animated before.
Hmm.
But like, it's very clear that everything was building up to this, and we just never didn't get it until now.
Hmm.
Which kind of like, but it makes a lot of sense why like a lot of people kind of like left Bleach in the dust after a while, because
Yeah.
when a show builds to something and then it stops running before it gets to that something, it kind of leaves a bad taste in people's mouths, whether they know it or not.
Especially when the progression to getting it to that something was literally like this.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So for me, I've been mostly catching up on ongoings. Like I've got My Happy Marriage still. Every Monday. Every episode ends with a goddamn cliffhanger. There was a goddamn sexism arc in it. I was not expecting. Um, like it's like, oh right, this takes place in old timey Japan. So yeah, that happens. I was also Soul Leveling season 2, Pocket Theory Diary season 2, Sakamoto Days. I'm watching that, and then Daima, but we'll get to Daima later. And I finally finished Ghost Stories. So yes, Slade, it's next. I'll get to it. Maybe not this weekend because I have other things to do, but it's next. I won't watch
I've been
any
waiting.
other.
I've been waiting for the GIF. I know you're gonna post one when you start it.
Maybe I won't, just to be a troll.
Just not gonna update any lists at all.
No, I'm still saying I'll put in like an episode, the first episode of like season 4, just arbitrarily, and then not say a word.
God, that would be awful.
Watch it in reverse. I'm sure the story will make perfect sense.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, Attack on Titan's next. I'm gonna watch it. You know. Yeah, but Ghost Stories, I finished that. Holy fuck. What an experience.
Yeah, how'd you like the finale? They brought all the ghosts back.
The finale that like they stopped giving a shit about even trying to tell a story.
Yep. I love
Like
it.
straight up, like the first half they at least kind of try, and then by the end they just don't give a fuck. They're just like, let's just fucking ad lib everything. And just see what happens. Also, they put a random OVA like before the final episode for some reason.
So weird.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be talking more about that on GNC, so wait and see for that.
Touch me. Touch me
Set
harder.
Oh, why is that episode the most unhinged?
I mean, you gotta watch. If you watch it, you know. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh man.
So yeah, Alex is flying through Dragon Ball Z, huh?
She sure is. I think she's just finished the Cell Saga, or she's getting to the just finishing the Cell. She's actually about to just start the tournament, so she's probably already halfway through it by now. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
She asked me how long Boo was, and I said it's long. So
it's not that long.
It feels
long, it's no longer than any of the other arcs.
Yeah, but Boo just feels long.
And like a good chunk of it is even before Boo even shows up.
I know.
Like
incredible
you take like the go on in high school stuff and the tournament, and then like Bobity's spaceship, all that other stuff. Like that's like a good chunk of the Boo saga right there. And then by the time Boo shows up, like he kind of flies through his forms pretty quick. Super Boo, I think, is the one that's around the longest.
Yeah, you get such ending fatigue by the time it's over that you're like, let's move on already, please.
But
you could tell Toriyama was kind of done with it by that point. He was just doing it out
Well,
of
and-
obligation.
That's literally what it was. Like he wanted to stop, but like,
Well, wasn't his original idea like he wanted it to end with Cell?
well, I think so, but I think it was just like one of those things where they like pretty much coerced him to continue. But like he pretty much said, okay, like I'll do it, but I'm not dealing with any interference with editors this time. I'm just gonna do the story that I want to do. And that's why Boo is so like gaggy and
all over the place.
Exactly. It's like borderline gag manga half the time.
Yeah. Incredible fighting candy. I'm a jawbreaker, the strong or whatever.
You got fucking Boo and Mr. Satan taking a bath together and all that crazy shit.
Chi-Chi gets turned into an egg and stomped to death.
Yep.
Most graphic death in the anime.
But I don't know. I've been considering rewatching GT.
Alex said she flat out refuses and won't do it, so.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. It's just easy to make fun of, that's all.
She doesn't want to do it. It's going to be enough of a struggle to get her to watch original Dragon Ball at this point. Like, I'm just kind of like accepting
That's
the
super easy to fly through.
I know.
It's so entertaining. It's so goofy.
I know. It's like her Attack on Titan for me.
I feel like original Dragon Ball for her is going to be like the most at home because I feel like original Dragon Ball is like what Oda had in mind when he was writing One Piece.
I know, and I've said that, but it's Alex. She'll get to it eventually. She's watching Z. That's progress.
Yeah. The fact that she's flying through it as fast as she is that's 2 thumbs up right there.
Oh, yeah,
even though she doesn't have any positive things to say about it.
Oh no, she likes certain things. She just
I heard the last episode. I listened.
She likes Super. What can I say?
Oh, she said she still thinks Super is better. I was like,
oh, I mean,
we can't be friends. We can't be friends.
We're joking, Alex. We're joking. But yeah, I guess we might as well jump into Daima time, as we've been calling it.
Yeah. Where's the theme music?
Let me find the theme music. Which one was it? I already forgot.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, so Daima, I didn't get to watch episode 5 yet, so we're just going to talk 4.
Me neither, so that works out.
So episode 4 happened, and stuff's finally starting to happen.
Yeah, this felt more like an adventure than the previous episodes.
Their car got stolen.
Yeah, we opened up with them staring at the spot where their plane used to be. And so basically, they're just like, oh, well, fuck, we gotta walk.
I did enjoy Goku being like, let's just fly. And he's like, yeah, you fly for like 5 minutes here and you'll be dead in like 3 minutes.
I like that as like a plot point where it's just like, oh, like, we can just fly. It's just like, well, no, actually, like our air is too thick. If you try to fly, you're gonna tire yourself out. Super. Like you can only fly in short bursts here. And
of course, Goku being Goku is immediately like, I'm gonna try it anyways. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Shit.
And I think that helps too to even things out because it felt like he got used to how his body works way too quickly. So I like the fact that the atmosphere of the demon realm itself makes it harder for him to move. So it kind of puts that extra limitation on him. I
actively like the fact that they're actively trying to prevent it from just becoming GT again by actually making Goku like not just OP the entire time. Because my god, GT was bad though. Like GT just straight up became the Goku show after like 2 episodes.
Yeah, well, that's definitely one thing about this that I've been liking is it is taking the time to focus on other characters. And while Goku is still the main focal point, it's not just about him. Like other people are doing stuff too.
True.
So,
They also are remembering why we liked Kid Goku in like original Dragon Ball, not GT, where they just like he's a kid now, but he's still the Goku that he's been for like the last like 20 years. So it's like, yeah, he's just a kid now, and it's weird.
I will say there were a couple points where I noticed that Stephanie Downey's voice wasn't really bringing it the way she used to.
You can tell she's definitely aged.
There's a couple points where like it was a couple line deliveries where I was just like, ooh, she would have delivered that way differently 20 years ago.
So, gonna break topic real quick. Alex just texted me, and her question she said was, "Why did I just have to see Cell poop out babies?"
Oh, so she's still on Cell?
Yeah, I think she had just.
She didn't know about the Cell Juniors?
No, apparently not. Well, no, she doesn't. Nice. She doesn't know anything about Z. So it's like she's like learning all these things. I'm like, I love when she runs into a thing that like is explained in Super. And I'm like, oh, you've seen Super, you know what happens.
Yeah, it's super funny.
It's fine though. I love the play-by-play of her watching Z.
Super funny.
But going back to Daima, yeah, they you can tell that Stephanie's definitely aged a little bit. It's still there, but it's kind of like when trying to think of another example.
Well, it's mostly when she's like exerting, like when she's just talking as Goku, it's you know, it's the classic Goku voice. But when she's like trying to deliver a line in like a certain way, is like when she's being a little bit more expressive, is when you can really tell.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like it gives me, as much as I'm not a fan of the sub like for Dragon Ball, it does give me a lot of like appreciation for that Goku's Japanese voice actress, where she's still screaming like her lungs out.
Oh yeah,
the same way she always has. And it's like, as much as I don't care for the Dragon Ball sub, you gotta give her props, because holy shit, how old is she?
She's almost 90.
Yeah, it's like, holy cow.
Yeah,
how does her voice do that?
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I forget, is this the first time we saw like the like abyss, like the dark ocean or whatever the hell they called it?
Yes, I believe so, because they'd mentioned that if Goku falls in that, he's gone forever.
Yeah, it's kind of like how we originally heard about, like, if you fall off Snake Way, you're gone forever. Only this time it's for real.
Yeah.
And a weird, like, I hesitate to say flying sperm monster, but it was a flying sperm monster.
Yes.
And we got to see Glorio fight a little bit, which was fun, showing off that he's not a pushover.
Yeah, I love his no shits given attitude, though. Still, it's very. It's very refreshing, because that's really not a character trope we've had in Dragon Ball. Like, the closest I can think is 17, but like even 17 does care about certain things.
And he gets worked up from time to time. Like, Glorio is just kind of like, yeah, I'm here. This is my job.
He's such an Aaron Discanu character. It's not even funny.
Which is really funny, too, because I mentioned earlier, I was watching Dr. Stone. I literally watched this time episode, and then I started watching Dr. Stone, and it was like a weird... Because he plays the main character in that show.
Yeah, that's true. He does.
So it was like a weird like jump between characters there.
Well, it's funny when you watch Daima, and then you watch like Kaguya-sama, and you're like, hey, I know him.
So yeah, we got to see him fight a little bit, which is cool. We got a few little skirmishes in this episode, which I appreciated. Nothing too crazy, like not any like, you know, big epic fights or anything, but just a couple little skirmishes for them to show off their
we got to see that
fighting choreography and whatnot.
That village that's like being enslaved.
Well, apparently this is just a thing that's happening across all of the Demon Realm. Like, he's just overly taxing people, even though he like just became king like yesterday.
that was like the most fucked up scene too, where it's like not only is he taxing them to death, but then literally if they can't pay, he just takes their life force. Like what?
Yeah, he uses like a lava lamp to steal their life force. Can you talk about the evil lava lamp for a second? Like, I wasn't because I watched this subbed a while back. I must have missed the evil lava lamp part because I was watching it this time. I'm like, that's just a straight up lava lamp. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a very Toriyama thing. Like it's like,
but at the same time, it makes you think back to like when they were collecting energy to resurrect Majin Buu, they had like the weird like life force sucking machine or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, so this came from the demon realm. That makes sense. Turns out a lot of stuff came from the demon realm that we didn't know about.
Yeah. The only question I have is Daima going to be canon to everything else, or is Daima going to be its own secluded thing?
We're not really going to have. We might not get a definitive answer, period. But I don't think we're really going to know until it's over.
Yeah, because it's so weird that this is technically a different universe from Super.
It's referenced things from Super, so it's possible, but
yeah,
they've already kind of fucked up that canon in the same way that Super fucked up the GT.
Well, Super just straight up said GT's not canon at all, because I think they established in Xenoverse that like GT is just a weird side universe.
Well, I think in a way this is kind of supposed to be a similar thing, but because they are referencing things from Super, that kind of throws a wrench in that whole deal.
The way I feel like with that is that they're implying that, like Super like stuff that still all exists in the Dragon Ball universe. It just doesn't happen this way in the Daima universe.
Maybe this is just one of the other time rings. Maybe that's what this is.
Oh, that's actually a really good theory.
Maybe that's what each of those alternate timelines was. Just there was GT, Super, Daima.
Well, it's interesting because like now people are going to question what is the actual canon post Z, and we'll probably never get an answer to that. So it's just kind of going to be one of those like whichever one you feel like it kind of answers.
I mean, I still feel like this is probably the closest to canon out of all of them, just because of how involved Toriyama was. But
the thing is, though, Super has so many like fans, and Super did go pretty deep. Plus, it has the manga.
Yeah,
we'll never know. We'll never know, unfortunately.
Who knows? Well, maybe this will get a manga too. I'll collect it if it does.
Oh. Yeah, I probably will too. Oh, we haven't heard Mr. Carr in a while. That's interesting.
Yeah, you should probably slow down a little bit. It's kind of icy outside.
He's trying to jump the rotary.
Yeah, that's happened. Don't joke about that. It's happened multiple times. But yeah. So actually, before they get to that village, they stumble upon a random like gift shop in the middle of the fucking desert for some reason. I love the old couple that run this place.
Yeah, they're
super endearing, like one-shot side characters. And this is where we get introduced to the bugs. The what they call it, meta bugs.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think this also is where the running gag of Goku not being able to say Glorio's name right starts.
It's funny. I didn't even notice. I just kind of was like, oh, it's Goku being Goku. So I'll be looking up for that going forward.
Well, I just love, like, every time he does it, Glorio's just like, it's Glorio. He's just like, super, like, no shit's given every time. Just, it's Glorio, dude. Like...
That's interesting. I'll have to watch out for that because I just figured it was Goku being Goku.
And I just gotta say this right now. There's a part of me that kind of wishes this was kind of a more adult geared show, because if it was, he'd call him Glory Hole at one point.
Yeah, probably. Jeez.
But anyways, so Goku eats a fried lizard, which actually looked delicious.
Yeah, they're really putting a lot of detail in the food.
Well, they've kind of, since GT, they've done that. And
true.
Because I don't know when the last time we watched GT was, but the shit, the weird ass fucking like mountain food that Chi-Chi cooks looks absolutely scrumptious.
True. I haven't watched Chi-Chi full. I haven't watched Chi-Chi. Yeah, I haven't watched GT, bully in a very long time. So
Also, there was a weird thing where Goku goes to eat it, and he just goes, "Rub a dub dub," and then he starts eating. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Did they write that, or did Stephanie Nadolny go, "Sure, why not? I'll add this"?
I don't know. I don't think he said that in the sub. It was probably just the Itadakimasu or whatever. Like,
it's Funimation being quirky again.
I think it's supposed to be like rub a dub dub, thanks for the grub kind of thing, but they didn't have enough mouth flaps. So they just said rub a dub dub.
Yeah, I heard that and I was just kind of like, okay, sure.
Yeah, it was just like a really weird, like, wait, what? That was weird.
It's you know what's weird to me though, like there's so many new dubbing talent in Daima that it's weird that like Aaron Discamy might be like the most like prolific actor in this show.
Mm-hmm. I kind of love it though. Like I love all the new blood in this show because like literally Stephanie Nadolny is like the only returning actor for these characters.
Aside from like their cameos at the start, like Chamel's like three.
And I'm sure
lines.
I'm sure they'll be there for the final episode too, but
it's weird Sabat hasn't done any other voices though.
Yeah, especially since he had to sacrifice 2 roles for this. Well, I mean, he did get to do Korin a little bit, so
true. It's just weird to me because like you'd think that Sabat's like the Crunchyroll guy at this point. Like you think he'd do something.
Yeah.
I mean, we might not see it yet, to be honest. So.
I mean, there are plenty of characters still to come, so we'll see.
So, what do you think of the new character they introduced in this episode?
Pansy?
Yes, the very obvious gonna be in the party because she's in all the intros character.
Well, I mean, but they didn't even get really a whole lot of time with her. And you know what? The whole scene where she shows up and she's doing the whole like, "Oh, I'm gonna save you," blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, like that whole scene's like I feel like watching that scene. I felt like deja vu. Like I've seen that in some sort of Toriyama thing before. I don't know if maybe I'm thinking of Sandland or something. Like I don't know. It just seems so familiar.
You know what's really funny though? Like I love the fact that like Goku's like, we need to help them, and like I'm sitting here thinking like, when has Goku ever wanted to help people? He just wants to fight the strongest. Usually, most. Well, of the time.
I mean, if he sees people being a dick right in front of him, he's gonna do something about it. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if you're doing your thing way over there and I don't see it, I don't give a fuck. I mean, he just kind of let Frieza do his own thing for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like we're so used to Goku, like
he's like, as long as I don't see it or hear about it, do what you want, bro. But if it's in front of me, I'm gonna do something.
Yeah, it's like if it involves fighting a strong enemy, I'll go out of my way. But like if I didn't see it, it's not my problem.
Plus, he's still getting used to the air and stuff. So I mean, get a little exercise. It's not the worst thing. But yeah, the old couple at the shop, like, well, first of all, like I don't know why like the lady had like this like Southern Belle thing going on, but like
funny.
There's like a Southern Belle like, but also like witchy kind of voice thing going on.
Makes sense.
But I liked her a lot. And then when she brings out the husband, when they're talking about like, oh, we need a plane. And I love the gag about him not being able to hear.
Yeah.
And like Glorio, like they ask him the question, and he's just like, What'd you say again? Like he sits there and thinks for a second, and then he asks. Like, I don't know, it's just a goofy little gag that I enjoyed. Oh yeah, and Goku got some revive bugs and some fusion bugs, or join bugs, whatever the fuck they call them. And just in case anybody's wondering, I've seen up through I think episode 16, and I still haven't seen anybody fuse yet. So that's gonna be like end game.
It's either gonna be end game or it's gonna be something that never gets brought up because that's just how anime works.
Yeah, well, if they leave a fusion MacGuffin on the table, you know it's gonna get used. They did it with Goku Black. They did it with fucking, they did it with Kefla.
Yeah,
so it's one of those things where if it's brought up, it's gonna happen. And I have a feeling it could just be another Goku Vegeta fusion. It is entirely possible. I'm not gonna say that that's not gonna happen, But there is another pair of characters that get introduced later that I feel would be better used with that. So I'll just leave that at that for now. But as far as I got sidetracked. So I like the mode of transportation they end up getting from that old couple.
Oh, you mean the fucking just launched into fucking orbit?
It literally practically got shot out of a cannon. That's pretty much what it was.
I love Goku's line of like, so how do we control this thing? It's like, control this thing. It just goes.
Control.
You're basically just aiming blind.
Yeah, Supreme guy's like, it's a good thing you know how to fly this thing, Glorio. He goes, fly it? What are you talking about? No, we're gonna bail. Tuck and roll, bitch.
See, it reminded me a lot of the guy from OG Dragon Ball,
Mercenary Tao.
Mercenary Tao, just grabbing the fucking wooden spear and just throwing it and riding that. Like,
that's what it felt like to me too. I liked that a lot. But yeah, that whole bit. And then like, I don't know, the weird outfit that the old dude was wearing. Like he was like yelling through the megaphone.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was weird. He like dressed up like a wizard or some shit. It was weird.
Very
so yeah, they get launched, and that's when they end up getting to the town we mentioned earlier. Pansy, yes. So I don't want to go too deep into it, but basically she's kind of like a Bulma substitute.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe.
She's the techie in the group, so she's gonna be doing techie stuff. What do you think about her homemade wasabi bomb that didn't work?
I was just like,
it just kind of farted.
I just saw it and I was like, oh, that happened.
I was like, she had a taser too.
Yeah. It was very Toriyama, very OG Dragon Ball-ish. Like I did enjoy it. I got a good kick out of it.
And we got some decent fight choreography throughout this whole exchange here. I like seeing Goku fight with the power pole again. It's refreshing.
Yeah,
especially with like the level of animation that they have now. Like they could do so much more with it, with like, you know, the way they use the models and the cameras and like the you know, they can, they're not limited to like hand drawing like they used to be. So like they can focus more on the choreography itself rather than just trying to get it on paper, for lack of a better word. So yeah, I appreciate that.
It's been a pretty show to watch. I'm glad that stuff's finally happening. Because those first 3 episodes were kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a slow start for sure. I feel like this show ultimately will be better served as a binge watch. Like I feel like Alex is actually doing it right now, where she's focusing on Z, and by the time she finishes that, like she'll be able to binge through those early episodes and get into the good stuff like pretty quickly.
Yeah, if she watches Daima, I have no idea if she's going to, because I'm pretty sure she said after she finishes Z, she's going to watch Super again.
I mean, that's fair.
She likes Super a lot, so it makes. She's got to start reading the manga, because I want to know her opinion on the changes. But
yeah, that could be a whole GNC episode on its own.
Honestly, yeah.
But yeah, pretty much the episode pretty much ends with Pansy like meeting up with them, being like, "Who the hell are you guys?" And the episode just kind of ends.
Yeah, but for the first time, I finished a Daima episode and went, okay, something's happening. So I look forward to where we go next. I'll probably watch that episode after we finish this up. But yeah.
As we get closer to like the midpoint of the series is when like things really start to heat up.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that was Daima time, our weekly Dragon Ball Daima retrospective. Yeah. Anything else crazy going on, or?
Not in particular. Just kind of, you know.
Yeah.
One of those days.
I'm mostly just looking forward to getting through the winter. I'm already over winter.
Yeah, we're like out of wood, so I don't know how that's gonna work, especially with all the snow coming.
Yeah.
You have to rely on oil, I guess, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the places around here are out of wood.
Yeah, it's weird. Winter was a lot. We had like a late start winter this year, but now it just won't stop.
Mm-hmm.
Did the damn groundhog see his shadow this year? I have no idea.
No, they said 6 more weeks of winter. But you know what? To be fair, and I would just want to say, like, I had this conversation with my wife and a couple other people the other day when that was happening. It's like it's no surprise that he always says 6 more weeks of winter because a bunch of random ass fucking like humans are just kind of crowding around him every year. He's like he pops out of his hole, and of course he's gonna jump back into his hole. He's fucking scared.
I hate the videos where they fucking like pull the thing out and it looks fucking terrified. I'm like, why are we
Yeah,
doing
it's like this is ridiculous, guys. Like, come on. We have fucking people whose job it is to figure this shit out. We don't need the goddamn groundhog. Leave him alone. He
I
wants to
always
go in
think
his
of
hole.
I always think of the one year where they fucking dropped it and killed it, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? Like, ugh. Because there's like
Thought we were
multiple.
past this shit.
There's like multiple groundhogs, I guess, in different areas of the country. I'm like, first off, who thought of this holiday? And second of all, like, why do we still do it? Like, what do we get? It's all bullshit, anyways. Like,
Dumbest tradition ever.
he sees his shadow, he doesn't see his shadow. The same shit happens. We either get snow or we don't. The weather in New England is stupid, and it's just random.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
just like sitting there thinking, like, why are we pulling a damn beaver out of a hole to see if it sees its shadow or not?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Freaking
I don't know.
ridiculous.
The fucking random shit that people come up with to try to distract the masses.
Why does February have the weirdest holidays?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the shortest month.
I guess. I mean,
It's
it's
also
weird.
like the darkest and the bleariest and the coldest.
Yeah, it's weird that the only thing there's like a couple holidays in February, but the only thing I ever really care about in February is Alex's birthday. So
Fair.
it's like,
Which she doesn't even have one this year, so.
yeah. Well, I mean, no, she gets to choose. She can either do February 28th or March 1st, whichever's more
Fair enough.
convenient for her.
Whichever works out better with my schedule.
I mean, this year I think it's on the 28th is on a Friday and the 1st is on a Saturday, so that's actually perfect.
Go figure.
But yeah, I think that's kind of about it for this episode. We really kind of just covered what's going on.
Oh, I have to shame you, by the way,
What did I do this time?
because you didn't go through the whole rundown and out of I think it was GNC. You didn't go through the whole rundown.
Oh, you mean the ending
Because
card?
you had to pee, so you didn't
did.
go through
I
the whole
really-
thing.
I did. That fuck. It was the anime swap that just came out. That we went over 2 hours. Like I was like,
We got to the
Yeah.
end. I was listening to work. I got to the end. I was shaking my head. I was like disappointed in you, Bill.
at least I was honest about it. I had to be.
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
didn't have time. I didn't have time. I mean, this week's episode, at the time this comes out, it'd already be out. But get ready for some unhinged shit because we talked about Sims 2 and holy fuck, good times to be had.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I guess that's it for this episode. This very impromptu. Kind of threw it together literally this morning.
Mm.
We'll be back to our regular content hopefully next week.
Yes,
so-
I've already started preparing for next week's episode. So,
Yeah, we're gonna be reviewing a movie, so it'll be fun.
oh, I thought we were doing the manga.
I thought Suzume was next.
I mean, that was what we were supposed to do this week, but I already started reading.
Oh,
Well, you know
I
what
thought-
we could do. We know what we do. Maybe we'll maybe Friday night we'll do Yu-Gi-Oh, and then on Saturday when we don't have the kid, Cindy and I can do Suzume, and then we'll get an extra one in, which will work out.
Okay, I'll have to figure that out.
Just because I want to do Yu-Gi-Oh while I'm fresh. Was fresh.
Okay, yeah, we'll figure that out. But Yeah. So, anyways, guys, once again, thank you for joining us on Geek Addicts. You can find Geek Addicts on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network. That is superpodnetwork.com, an awesome site where you can find all sorts of different podcast videos, blogs, and be sure to check out all the awesome shows over on Superpod's network, like Superpod Saga, Super Ghost Radio, Retro Rehab, Tommy's Video Game Ride Along, A Novel Console, Bar Silence, Fine Time, the Elder Trolls Gaming Podcast, Remember 64, Gaming Together, Friday Night Gamecast, Gaming and Collecting, the 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, the Retro Wildlands, Press B to Cancel, the Pre-Order Bonus, Retro Mo Game Reviews, and because Tommy can't help himself and he's once again unretired from podcasting, we have Tommy and Grant Go Podcasting. Be sure to check all of those out. And with that, everybody, we will see you all later.
Have a good one.